Shabbat Shalom, welcome. Thank you for joining us this evening. We'll begin in a moment in the prayer book in the Siddur on page number 5, Shalom Aleichem, which is a song, a poem. And the theme within the song, the poem, and Shalom Aleichem is that angels are joining us. And there's a melody that's been handed down for quite some time. But tonight I'm going to do something just a little bit different, a new melody, but I think you'll figure it out. It goes like this. Shalom Aleichem, Malachei Hasharet, Malachei Elyon, Mimelech Malchei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Boachem l'shalom, Malachei Hashalom, Malachei Elyon, Mimelech Malchei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Baruchuni l'shalom, Malachei Hashalom, Malachei Elyon, Mimelech Malchei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Tzeitchem l'shalom, Malachei Hashalom, Malachei Elyon, Mimelech Malchei HaMelachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Because it is Hanukkah, and Hanukkah is all around us. It's too dark right now to light our candles. You see that we have the Hanukkah set up with the candles. Tonight, of course, is the 6th night, and hopefully we lit at home before we came to synagogue. And we'll begin on page number 11, L'chu Neranana, welcoming Shabbat, L'chu Neranana. L'chu neranana, neranana, ladonai naria, naria, letzur yishenu. L'chu neranana, neranana, ladonai naria, naria, letzur yishenu. Nekad mafanav, nekad mafanav, nekad mafanav betoda. Bizmirot, bizmirot, naria lo. Bizmirot, bizmirot, naria lo. On the English side, on page number 11. Let us go and sing to Adonai. Let us trumpet praise to our protector. Filled with thanks, let us greet God, raising our voice in song. Great is Adonai, a greater sovereign than all other deities. God's hands form the earth's deep. Mountain crests too are God's work. The sea is God's, for God made it. Dry land was fashioned by God's hands. Come then, let us bow and kneel. Let us bend our knees in the presence of Adonai, who formed us. The closing stanza of the Hebrew on page number 12. Arbaim shana kutz v'dor v'omar to'elev avhem v'hem lo yidu drachai asher nishbati v'api im yavon el menuchati. And on page 14 on the English side. Bow to Adonai in the glory of this holy place. Tremble before God's presence, all who dwell on earth. Announce among the nations, Adonai reigns. The land is firm and will not be moved. Peoples will be truthfully judged. The heavens shall be glad and the earth rejoice. The sea and its fullness roar. The meadows and all that grows in them exult. Even the trees of the forest shall sing praise, as Adonai comes to judge the earth, judging lands with righteousness and peoples with divine truth. Tonight is Hanukkah, and so we're going to step a little bit out of the tradition of the Friday evening service. And we have a song, and many people are familiar with this song. This song is Light One Candle, made famous by Peter, Paul, and Mary, and sung by many singers over the past 30 years. And so, Light One Candle.
Light one candle for the Maccabee children. Give thanks that their light didn't die. Light one candle for the pain they endured when their right to exist was denied. Light one candle for the terrible sacrifice justice and freedom demand. Light one candle for the wisdom to know when the peacemaker's time is at hand. Don't let the light go out. It's lasted for so many years. Don't let the light go out. Let it shine through our love and our tears.
Light one candle for the strength that we need to never become our own foe. Light one candle for those who are suffering. May we learn from so long ago.
Light one candle for all we believe in. Let anger not tear us apart. Light one candle to bind us together with peace as a song in our hearts. Don't let the light go out. It's lasted for so many years. Don't let the light go out. Let it shine through our love and our tears. Don't let the light go out. It's lasted for so many years. Don't let the light go out. Let it shine through our love and our tears. Don't let the light go out. Don't let the light go out. Don't let the light go out.
In the Jewish tradition, light is often synonymous with truth. Look at page 18. The last stanza of this psalm on page 18. Let the sea and all that is in it roar, the earth and all who inhabit it thunder. Let rivers clasp hands while mountains sing in harmony, greeting Adonai who comes to judge the earth, judging the world with justice and the nations with truth, the light of truth, a standard of morality. That's what this psalm, as we enter the Friday night zone of Shabbat, is talking about, having justice pervade the entire world. And now on page 21. Mizmor leDavid, Havul Adonai b'nei Elim, Havul Adonai, Kavod v'ozayayay, Havul Adonai kevod shemo, Hishtachavul Adonai, B'adrad Kodesh, Kol Adonai al hamayim, El hakavod hirim, Adonai al Maim Rabim, Kol Adonai, Ba'koach, ay, Kol Adonai be'adar, Kol Adonai shaver arazim, V'shaber Adonai et arzei halvanon, V'yarkidem kemo egel, Lebanon, V'siryon, kemo k'mo ven re'emim. Ay, 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 kol Adonai chotzev la'avotesh, kol Adonai yachil midbar, yachil Adonai midbar kadesh, kol Adonai yachol ayolot, vayechesof yarot, ovechalo, kolo omer kavod. Ay, 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 Adonai, lama bo yashava yeshev Adonai melech leolam, Adonai oz lamo yiten Adonai yavarech et amo v'shalom. Yai, dai, 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 yai, dai, 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 yai, dai, 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 yai, dai, 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 yai, dai, 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 yai, dai, 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 yai, 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 dai, 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 yai, dai, 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 yai, dai, 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 yai, dai, 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 yai, dai, 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 yai, dai, 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 yai, dai, dai, dai. That's a Hasidic melody. But we also have elements of a Sephardic ancestry within our community. So tonight, prior to L'Charodim, Ocho Candelikas is very well known now, and it tells the story of 1 through 8 little candles, Ocho Candelikas.
Hanukkah linda está aquí, 8 candelas para mí. Hanukkah linda está aquí, 8 candelas para mí. Oh, una candelica, 2 candelicas, 3 candelicas, 4 candelicas, 5 candelicas, 6 candelicas, 7 candelicas. 8 candelas para mí, muchas fiestas por hacer, con alegrías y placer. Muchas fiestas por hacer, con alegrías y placer. Oh, una candelica, 2 candelicas, 3 candelicas, 4 candelicas, 5 candelicas. 6 candelicas, 7 candelicas, 8 candelas para mí.
And the whole purpose of this preliminary service is to get us warmed up here, L'Charodi, and then Borchun Shema. So now L'Charodi on page 23. The first 2 stanzas, page 25, the last 2 stanzas. L'Chadodi lekrat kala, Pnei Shabbat nikabela. L'Chadodi lekrat kala, Pnei Shabbat nikabela. Shamor v'zachor b'dibur echad, Yishmiyanu el hamiyuchad, Adonai echad, U'shemo echad, L'shem ol tiferet v'litila. Dodi, L'Chadodi lekrat kala, Pnei Shabbat nekabela. L'Chadodi lekrat kala, Pnei Shabbat nekabela. Lekrat Shabbat l'chuvenelcha, Ki makor habaracha, Merosh mikedem nesilcha, Sof maseh b'machashav tchila. L'Chadodi lekrat kala, Pene Shabbat nekabela, lechadode lekrat kala. Pene Shabbat nekabela, Yamin osmo tiferotzi, viet Adonai ta'aritzi, al yarish ben partzi, v'nisbecha ben agila, lechadode lekrat kala, pene Shabbat nekabela, lechadode lekrat kala, pene Shabbat nekab. Bo'e v'shalom ateret bala, gam b'simcha u'b'tzala, toch emunei am segula, bo'e chala, lechadodi lekrat kala, pene Shabbat nekabela, lechadodi lekrat kala, pene Shabbat nekabela. Remaining standing, we just stood. Our legs pulled us up out of a seated posture because our legs are responding, our ears are responding, our heart is responding. Shabbat is joining us. Shabbat's walking in the door. How can we not stand up? We're pulled up almost magnetically, and Shabbat is with us. And now you understand, if you look at page 27, the Psalm for Shabbat, and we're going to look at the first stanza in English slowly, and then we're going to jump to the conclusion, remaining standing, because Shabbat is right here. It's the first stanza. It is good to thank you, Adonai, and sing to your name most high, to proclaim your love at daybreak, your faithfulness each night. And why does that open the door to the Psalm for Shabbat? It's sensitizing us at a threshold experience of sundown, realize where we've been during the day and where we're going into the night. And after 6 days, as we approach the seventh day, where are we going to be? And Shabbat's joining us. And so take stock of the transition from day to day and week to week, and be grateful for bringing our own energy, our own opportunity to bring tzedek, justice, and righteousness into this time. And now, page 28, and you see it's the fulfillment of justice and righteousness. It's the last two stanzas. The righteous flourish like the date palm, thrive like a cedar in Lebanon, planted in the house of Adonai. They flourish in our God's courtyards. In old age, they remain fruitful, still fresh and bountiful, proclaiming, Adonai is upright, my rock in whom there is no flaw. And that's why we stood up, because we, as people who are seeking to become righteous and just, are described as being as important and as enhancing of beauty as God's own trees planted in God's own courtyards. You and I are like a tree adorning God's own space. May remain so beautiful. The Borchu, page 39b. Baruch hu et Adonai hamavorach. Baruch Adonai hamavorach le'olam voed. We are seated. The first bracha on page 39b on the English side, and then the song sheet. Baruch atah Adonai, our God, sovereign of time and space, you completed your work of creation on the seventh day, calling this day from one evening to the next the holy Shabbat, and gave this day of rest and all its holiness to your people Israel, creator of day and night, rolling light before darkness and darkness from light. making day pass and bringing on the evening, distinguishing day from night. Adonai Tzvaot is your name, living and ever-present God. May your rule be with us forever and ever. Baruch atah Adonai, who brings each evening's dusk. El Chai v'Kayam, Tamidim lo chalen olam boed. Baruch atah Adonai, Hama'ariv aravim. Every evening throughout the year, we welcome the transition between day and night with two brachot, two blessings. One, praising God for creating light and dark in the transition between. And the second, ahava, love that fills the universe, love of God, by God, for everything within the reality. And then we're ready for the Shema. And so now, instead of the entire bracha, we have the song, Love Your God, on the song sheet.
Go with God.
V'avotecha tasir mimenu le'olamim, Baruch atah Adonai, Ohev amo Yisrael. Page 41. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Ve'afta et Adonai Elohecha b'chol levavcha uv'chol nafshecha uv'chol me'odecha v'hayu hadvarim ha'ele asher anochi mitzavecha hayom al levavecha v'shinantam levanecha v'nibarta bam b'shivtecha b'veitecha uvalektecha v'derech v'vishachbecha v'kumecha ukeshartam la'ot al yadecha v'hayu letotafot b'neinecha uktavtam al mezuzo beitecha u'visharecha. Moment of silence on page number 42. Adonai Elohechem emet. On page number 44. Umalchuto beratzon kiblu alehem Moshe u'Miriam u'vnei Yisrael lechanu shira b'simcha rabah v'yamru chulam mi chamocha b'elim Adonai mi kamocha nedar b'kodesh Noratilot Osefele Malchutecha Ra'uvanecha Bokeh Yam Lifnei Moshe Zeli Anu V'yamru Adonai Yimloch Le'olam Voed V'ne'emar Ki fadorno et Yaakov Ugalom Yachazag Mimeno Baruch Ata Adonai Gal Yisrael. And on page 45, you see an English title, second bracha, second blessing after the Shema, peace in the night. The first bracha after the Shema, which we were just saying, Michamocha, speaks of protection and of safety. The second bracha here on page 45 is the Hashkivenu, and although it ends in the suffix nu, Hashkivenu, like Avinu, Malkenu, Slachlanu, and that's a plural suffix, the sense, the wording of the Hashkivenu is one almost of a private meditation. And it's found here in the evening service, and it's also found when individuals say the Shema at night as they're getting ready to go to sleep on their beds. I say the Hashkivenu every night when I have my prayer book in front of me during Shema on the bed. So there's this gentleness and this privacy that is the tone of the Hashkivenu, but it's voiced in the plural, inviting everyone in to a gentle and earnest prayer, calling out to God to bless us all with a sense of safety in calm and repose as the hours turn dark. That's Hashkivenu. Together. Hashkivenu, Adonai, our God, to sleep peacefully. Awaken us to life, O Sovereign. Spread over us your canopy of peace. Restore us with your good counsel, and save us for the sake of your name. Shield us. Remove from us enemies, pestilence, sword, starvation, and sorrow. Remove the evil forces that surround us. Shelter us in the shadow of your wings, for you, God, watch over and deliver us. And you, God, are sovereign, merciful, and compassionate. Ensure our going and coming for life and peace, now and forever. May you spread over us your canopy of peace. Who spreads the canopy of peace over us, the people of Israel, and over Jerusalem. Ufro solenu sukat shlomecha, baruch atah Adonai, hapore sukat shalom aleinu, v'al kol amo Yisrael, v'al Yerushalayim. Page 46. V'shamro v'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat la'asot et ha-Shabbat le'dorotam barit olam b'nei uvein b'nei Yisrael oti le'olam oti le'olam oti le'olam v'shamro v'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat la'asot et ha-Shabbat le'dorotam barit olam ki sheshet yamim asa Adonai et ha-shamayim v'et ha'aretz v'shamro v'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat la'asot et ha-Shabbat le'dorotam barit olam uvayom hashvi shavat vayinafash shavat vayinafash shavat vayinafash v'shamro v'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat la'asot et ha-Shabbat le'dorotam barit olam. Yitkadal v'yitkadash shemei rabo b'tevei b'chayechon uv'yomechon uv'chayedecho beit Yisrael Bagala uv'zman kariv v'imero amen Yehi shmei rabo mevorach La'olam yolmei almayo Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpar v'yitramam v'yitnaseh v'yitadar v'yitalal shemei dekudesha brechu leilam v'kobrachata v'shirata tushbechata v'nechemata da'amiran ba'olma v'imeru amen. Prior to rising, turn please to page number 50. Page 50 in the Siddur. Page number 50. This is Shabbos, but since it became dark, it's also what's called Rosh Chodesh. It's the beginning of the next month in the Hebrew calendar, Tevet. Hanukkah, of course, always starts near the end of Kislev, and always within Hanukkah, we have a transition of months from Kislev to Tevet. There's a special prayer that's recited in the beginning of a month. It's called Rosh Chodesh, and it's here before you on page number 50, and it always takes hold of me because of the evocativeness of the first two lines. There are 8 verbs here. Each one of the 8 verbs is calling out for us to be remembered. That's how we begin a month, by seeking to be remembered, but remembering is usually associated with something that already happened before. We're anticipating that during the upcoming month, things are going to happen, and we need to be remembered for health, for safety, as agents of justice, as doers of mitzvot, as people of menschlichkeit in the month ahead. So the beginning of the month is a call for not only God to remember us, but for us to pay attention to how we need to be remembered and to prompt us to act in a certain way. That's what I gleaned from the Ya'alev Yavo. And now, as you see at the bottom of page number 50, there's a little red italicized instruction. On Hanukkah, we add the paragraph known as Al Hanisim, which is found elsewhere in the Siddur, page 430. So there are changes to the Friday night and also tomorrow morning, Shabbos morning Amida. We're thinking about the month ahead, and we're also thinking about that prayer, Al Hanisim, on page 430. At this point, we're invited to rise, taking a few moments of silent prayer. The traditional texts are before us, or a few moments of silent private thought. We rise. Page 54. Yitkara v'yitkara shemei rabba be'amad amen yehi shemei rabba mevorach l'olam l'yolmei almaya yitbarach Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpar mizveh v'yidadar v'yidadar shmei kudusha brichu le'elam and kol berchata v'shirata tishbachata v'nechmata tamrim v'yom amen titkabel tzlaton v'don d'chayis rakadam avu hondi v'yishmai v'yimru amen yesh l'mak v'yimru amen u'sesh l'mar v'yaseh shalom l'yin v'yimru amen. The night before last was a memorable night for me for Hanukkah. Over the past nearly 2 years, I've been welcomed into a group of pastors, the large majority of which are African American. And as you've heard, we're working on a number of programs to develop a sense of greater safety. We're working on a program to combat gun violence. I've spoken with this before. The night before last, I was invited with this group of pastors and some of their church members to walk symbolically in solidarity from one church to another in a certain neighborhood near Michigan Avenue in the interstate. And the lead pastor gave us literally our marching orders as he handed out reflective vests for us to walk along. Walk with somebody you don't know and get to know somebody, because we're going to be walking slowly from one church to the second and then slowly back to the first in a loop. And this is an opportunity for you to get to know somebody whom you don't know. And there are 2 white members of this group, I and a Christian pastor, and the other are, as I said, African-American pastors and a number of their church members from a variety of churches in this neighborhood. So I began to walk with one woman, and she began to tell me her story. And perhaps, in her words, unlike many people in her neighborhoods, and she has grown up in varying neighborhoods, she has a college degree. Her mother has a college degree. Her father has a degree from a trade school. And so she sees herself, and she is seen by many, different from people on the ground, you might say. And she's a professional, and she's had a number of office jobs. Currently, she's working for an NGO. And she says that there have been occasions when she has been called upon to counsel people in neighborhoods. People would come to her and grab her and say, come into my house, come into my apartment, and she'd see somebody injured or worse. And she's been called daytime and nighttime. And as we were walking for 20 minutes side by side, I, a white Jewish man who've grown up in a very safe community and experience, gained a new education, in 20 minutes, an insight into hopelessness of people who feel that they have no way out. And as we were walking through this neighborhood, all of us with flashlights, the lead pastor kept walking back and forth talking to us, and he said, there are people right now who are watching us, and they're wondering what's going on. A group of 20 to 30 people or so, spanning a long block, you might say, of walk, with reflective vests and carrying flashlights in an area where people don't normally walk at night. And the purpose is to make a statement that there are people in their neighborhood who care enough about them to go out at night in a time which is typically associated with fear and concern, to make a statement. People are going to be asking questions, and because there are a number of churches in this area, the word is going to get out. And then we got to one church, and we stopped, and he asked us to pray, and he asked me to, on the spot, come up with a prayer. And I said roughly these words: The Hebrew word malach, which means angel, literally means an emissary. Someone on a journey, you might say somebody, something almost on a mission. Walking together is a journey. Walking together is a mission. We need to see ourselves as walking together to bring about a sense of renewed concern and interaction and involvement, a resolve to fight fear and to work together to eliminate violence. And all of us here together are walking in the spirit of malach, angel, or divine emissaries. And then the Christian pastor offered a prayer, and it was a heartfelt prayer in which he mentioned Jesus as source of protection and of love and safety, and all that is critical. And then we began to walk back to the first church, and the name of the first church is Mount Zion Church. So we were walking to Mount Zion, which made me smile then and makes me smile as I share this little story with you now. We were walking to Mount Zion, and that stands out in my mind because Mount Zion is famous, of course. Anybody who's been to Israel knows about Mount Zion. It's a prominent high hilltop. You could say a prominent low or short mountain. It's one of the highest in the region. And if you step outside of the city walls of Old Jerusalem, you come to Mount Zion, Har Zion, and it's elevated above the terrain. And there's quite a beautiful view when you're standing on Mount Zion looking off into the distance, near or far. And Mount Zion, Sion, is mentioned many times in the Bible, many times in the prayer book. And of course, the modern resurgence of rebuilding the ancient Israel in the modern sphere is Zionism, based upon Sion, the nickname of this mountain. And as we were walking back to Mount Zion, I with my new friend, it occurred to me that the significance of Mount Zion is that you're so high up that you gain a whole new perspective. You gain an entirely new view and understanding of what's before you as you anticipate walking forward into the future. And it occurred to me during the nights of Hanukkah, as I'm walking in a medium dark neighborhood with flashlight and vests in an area that normally I would not find myself with people for the sake of making a statement. I'm getting a new perspective, as if I were standing on Har Zion, an elevated mountain peak. And the hope by the lead pastors to do these walks once a month in different neighborhoods all over Mobile to make a statement as we again gather and marshal our forces and our resources to bring about this initiative of education and social intervention to cut down on gun violence, which will be replicating programs found in other communities. And you'll be hearing more in detail as we get it going. But the message that I want to share tonight on this, the sixth night of Hanukkah, as we're lighting lights, is that every one of us has the power to take a step forward as a malach, as an angel, as an emissary, as a herald of the divine, to make a difference in the world today, simply by meeting somebody whom we don't know and recognizing the beauty and the power within that person, recognizing the capacity to learn a new perspective from somebody by whom you walk side by side. And that, to me, is the fulfilling message of Hanukkah. Walking side by side, gaining a new perspective, and with resolve bringing light and justice and care into the future. And each and every one of us has that opportunity and that capacity in every single day of our life experience to open our attention to somebody whom we do not know and to see that you are standing on Har Zion, a mountain of Zion, by listening to somebody else and then by committing to walking next to that person to make the world better. Hanukkah is a holiday associated with, you might say, redemption. Redemption is not coming from powers upon high. Redemption starts with the next footstep. We rise, Aleinu. On page number 56, the Aleinu, page number 56. Aleinu l'shabeach l'adon hakol, latet gedula liotzer breshit, shelo asanu k'goyei haratzot, velo samanu k'mishpachot adama, shelo sam chelkeinu kahem, v'gor aleinu kechol hamonam, v'anachnu korim umishtachavim umodim lifnei melech malchei hamlachim hakadosh baruch hu shehu notei shamayim v'yosei haaretz umoshav yikaro b'shamayim mimal u'shechinatu zo begovhei miromim Hu Eloheinu ein od emet malkeinu evezulato kakatu b'torato v'yadata yom v'shevota el lavavecha ki Adonai hua Elohim b'shamayim mimal v'al haaretz mitachat enod. Kakatu b'toratecha Adonai yimloch le'olam va'ed v'nemar v'haya Adonai le'melech al kol haaretz bayom hahu yihyeh Adonai echad U'shemo echad. And now on page 58, the Mourner's Kaddish. And if you're reciting Kaddish, you're invited to remain standing at this time. On this occasion, we remember with great love Emma Jett, Morris Mishevsky, Linda Haskins, Bernie Malkov, Hyman Gilbert Buckman, Mary Maisel Khan, Zalman Aaron Weber, Chaya Rachel Weber, Fanny Mitchell, David Lifshitz, Max Buckman, Al Khan. Are there any other names to mention this evening? And perhaps you have a name to mention aloud in your own homes, at home if you're joining us as well. Kaddish. Yitkadal v'yitkadash shemei rabba. Amen. Be'olma divara chirute v'yamlich malchute b'chayechonu v'yomechon u'v'chayei dechol Beit Yisrael ba'agala u'v'zaman kariv v'imeru. Amen. Yehei Shmei Rabba Mivarach La'olam Ula'olmei Olmaya Yitbarach V'yishtabach V'yitpa'ar V'yitromam V'yitnaseh V'yithadar V'yitaleh V'yithalal Shmei D'Kedusha B'rechu La'ela Min Kol Birchata V'shirata Tushbechata V'nechamata Da'amiran Ba'olma V'yimeru. Amen. Yehi Shaloma Rabba Min Shemaya V'Chayim Oleinu V'Al Kol Yisrael V'Meru Amen. Oseh Shalom B'Mromav Hu Ya'aseh Shalom Oleinu V'Al Kol Yisrael V'Meru Amen. It's not enough for Shalom to be in the heavens. Shalom needs to be here where we are. And in a way, God brings Shalom to us when you and I make an effort to reach out to those who are in need. May we have the capacity to offer comfort and solace during times of grief and loss. And in a way, God will bring peace here as well. We'll conclude in a moment on page 211 with the Adon Olam on page 211. And as we're turning our pages to page 211, we'll be making Kiddush in just a moment. And to those who are joining virtually, if you have wine or juice and chali and wish to make Dal Motzi and Kiddush with us, you're invited in just a moment. We'll be making Kiddush and Dal Motzi here. A couple of reminders before we conclude with the Adon Olam and then Kiddush. Tomorrow morning is Shabbos. We have 3 Torahs that are itching to come out of that Aron tomorrow. And we need a minyan for 3 Torahs to come out and have a little parade. We haven't had a parade in a long time. We missed 2 Simchas Torahs when we typically parade Torahs out. So we have 3 Torahs tomorrow, because it's Shabbos and Rosh Chodesh, the first day of Tevet, and the holiday of Hanukkah. I'm going to keep the service. It's not going to be long. If you were at a traditional conservative synagogue, it'd be close to a 3-hour service. I'm not going to do it. I'm going to work between 10 to 11:15, 10 to 11:30. But we need to have a minyan tomorrow to have our 3 Torah scrolls come out for Shabbos, Hanukkah, Rosh Chodesh. So I'm urging those who are joining in virtually, if you have yet not been back in shul, but you're vaccinated and you can wear a mask, please join us. And hopefully we'll have a minyan as we have a Torah parade for Shabbos, Hanukkah. Sunday at 5 o'clock, we have an abbreviated COVID-sensitive Hanukkah party from 5 to 5:30. We're grateful to Michael Cohen because he always puts together a great bulletin, and he's been disseminating this information. So bring your Hanukkah, bring your own candles. We have some matches, bring more if you want to move faster. We will light candles together. We will sing some songs, sing the blessings. The kids are going to have some games to play. The candles will burn down. Bring the shorter candles, the 30-minute candles, not the tapers. And then we'll all leave, and you'll get a donut on the way out. And that way, people will not be eating together, we'll be COVID-friendly, but we will have a Hanukkah party. That's Sunday from 5 to 5:30. Monday is Tanakh on Zoom. Tuesday is Adult Hebrew on Zoom, and Spirit on Zoom. And I think we'll stop there, because it's enough. We're on Adon Olam on page 211. Adon Olam Asher Malach B'terem Kol Yitzir Nivra Li'et Nasa V'chefzo Kol Azai Melech Shemo Nikra V'yacharei Kiklot HaKol Levado Yimloch Nora V'hu Haya V'hu Hoveh V'hu Yiyeh B'tifara V'hu Echad V'ein Sheni L'hamshil Lo Bira, Bali Reshit, Bali Tachlit, V'lo Ha'oz V'ha'misra, V'hu Eli V'chai Go'ali, V'tzor Chevli Be'et Tzara, V'hu Nisim Onosli, Manat Kosi B'yam Ekra, B'yado Afkid Ruchi, B'et Dishan V'a'ira, V'im Ruchi Gaviyati, Adonai Lev Elohim. Which song, folks? Moed Stor, exactly, Moed Stor, you did it. You win. You have a piece of challah or grape juice or wine back there because you won. You won the answer. So you're invited to rise for Kiddush Hamotzi. Again, Kiddush on page 55 if you're joining in with us at home. And people might choose wine or grape juice. Either one is appropriate, adequate, and traditional. Remember when we say Boe Pri Hagafen, creates the fruit of the vine, we're speaking of creates the fruit of the vine, so that's grape juice or wine. And you might, I'm just making a comment while you're pouring wine for yourself, but you might wonder, why does it say create the fruit of the vine? Because it's really wine or juice is a beverage. And the answer, I think, is that creates the fruit of the vine is the natural resource or the raw materials, the grapes, but it's up to you and me to use our intellect, our capacity to interact with the world and make a difference, to take advantage of and to harness nature's resources and make something productive. So wine and grape juice recognize that you and I can make a difference on our world for benefit, for value, for pleasure. In a moment, the Kiddush. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei peri hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'ratzavanu v'shabbat kodsho b'yava uvratzon inchilanu Zikaron l'maseh v'reishit ki hu yom techila l'mikra'ei kodesh zecher l'tziat mitzrayim ki avanu v'acharta v'otanu kidashta mikol V'shabbat kodshecha b'ahava uv'ratzon hinchaltanu baruch atah Adonai mikadesh haShabbat. Gotta yell you and me. Michael Hamotzi. Baruch atah Adonai. Yel melech haolam. Hamotzi lechem min haaretz. Shabbat shalom, happy Hanukkah. We also say good chodesh, which means may you have a good chodesh, a good month. May this moment in time lead to many successful and beautiful moments in time in the coming days. Litrot until we see each other again, hopefully in person. For now, good Shabbos.